Here we go. We are
Hello.
live. We're live.
So,
We're live. Just checking that everything is working fine. And I'm gonna put my my white light, which is I like it. It makes me brighter, you know. So
it certainly does. Yes, yes, yes. I did mine. That makes it trick.
anyway, so thank you so much, everybody, for being with us today. Today, we're not talking about customer experience as I usually do. I usually do Italian lives in Italian, you know. So, but today we are actually talking about something completely different with my dearest friend, Asema Bek. We will be talking about astrology, what makes it unique, what is such a good thing to know, why we should know it, what are the myths of it, and how we can use it in our daily life. So welcome, Asema. Thank you so much for being here with me today and for spending the next 40 minutes with me.
Absolutely. It's tremendous pleasure to be here. And Elenia, you're obviously my dearest friend, and I've known you for quite some time. And I would like to thank you for inviting me to your channel to kind of shed the light about misconceptions of astrology and provide a little bit more knowledge, or maybe I shouldn't say expertise, but to just share my viewpoints about astrology and help others to understand more what it is and what it is not. Okay,
You're
thank
very
you.
welcome. You're very welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you here. So we met in such a funny way. We met 2 years ago now. I think
Yeah,
we met in Thailand while we were in our career gap. Right, it was a year
yeah,
gap, and
yep.
in such a fantastic way, which I think, oh my God, I'm so thankful to have met you. And
Likewise.
so at that time, you were working for a venture capitalist. Is that right? And then
That's
you
absolutely right.
you transitioned into astrology. So I'm really curious, what's your story and why and how did you transition into it?
Oh my gosh, darn, I can't believe it. Like, so much time has passed ever
No.
since we met in Thailand. Feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, it was a few, I mean, to be precise, probably a couple of years ago when we met in Thailand. And you're absolutely right. At that, I think, point of time, I was taking kind of a gap in my professional career in order to understand myself better and hence understand where I need to head. But before I get into it, I just wanted to briefly give a little bit background about myself.
Oh,
So
please, yes.
I was, as you know, I was born and raised in Kazakhstan, very traditional setup. And then at the age of 21, I moved to the United States to pursue my degree, my education over there. And upon graduation, I've decided to remain there and pursue the American dream. And besides, the United States is known as the melting pot and as the land of opportunity. So I was one of those wishers and the hopers to get there, achieve that American dream. So I moved to New York after I graduated, and I've penetrated the corporate lifestyle, corporate world. And I've been working in several different positions and industries for almost 8 years. And at certain point, and I don't know whether you're familiar how New York is. I'm sure it's very similar to your background, London. It is very fast paced. It is extremely ambitious. It is the
Absolutely.
land of, it's a place of opportunity where things really happen. But everybody's rushing. Everybody's always on the go and trying to get the next big high. And I was
Wow.
one of those people constantly going, trying to chase the next promotion, trying to hit next goals, etc., etc. And when you're rushing and always hoping to get to the next best thing, or whatever happiness or the success is, right, which is dictated by a society or system in your surroundings, that leaves some sort of void or gap in your soul. And so at the end of my 8 years, I started feeling this internal nudge that told me, look, take a break. Where are you heading? why are you doing all of this? What's the point behind it? What's the purpose? And I'm sure you've had those breaking points, and a lot of people out there did the
Right.
exact same thing. So long story short, quit my job, bought one-way ticket, landed in Thailand, where I met you and other incredible individuals who've been through this transformation and soul-searching journey. That's when I isolated myself, went to silent retreats, started meditating, started practicing yoga, started diving into astrology a lot more in hopes of kind of getting more glimpse in terms of who I am and why I am here, what is my true potential, my talents, and where should I head next, and answering the question of what happiness is and what success is, and
Wow.
that's astrology helped me to understand myself more. And it is so vast, and it's extremely in depth, and the more I am learning and immersing myself, and more I am teaching or sharing my knowledge with others, more I am understanding about myself. So it's been an incredible tool, and it helped me realize that my happiness is to be of service to others, is to see other people happy and be on the correct journeys, and the focus on their journeys, while obviously understanding where they're heading. And that's why astrology is my passion, and now is my career choice, So, and
This
that's
is
why,
amazing.
yeah.
Asema, it's really, really inspirational. I
Thank you,
think
darling.
a lot of people out there right now listening to you will be really inspired to follow their dreams and follow their passions, regardless of what they are doing in their daily lives, or what job they are doing. So it's really good that you're sharing this story with us.
Thank you.
We basically had the same path in terms of
Exactly.
professional path. So I really understand the struggles, and I understand also the successes that you feel, and not in terms of money success or professional success, but internal success in terms of like your happiness towards
Yes.
things that you love doing, a passion that you love embracing. So well done to you, really, really well done.
Thank you, Lena.
That's okay. I'd like to. We have a comment which I'm going to read in a minute, but I'd like to encourage everybody to share their comments and to share their questions to Asema. We're going to dive in right now to talk about astrology and what it is. And, I hope Asema is going to give you a good understanding. Obviously, astrology is really huge, so it's really difficult to explain it in 30 minutes. But we're going to start by introducing what is astrology, because there are loads of different myths around, and I hope you can shed some light on those as well, because a lot of people are very confused on what is astrology, what is this and what is that, what is not. So please tell us, what do you think? What's your opinion, and what do you think is?
Oh, damn. One thing, you're absolutely correct. Astrology can be perceived as very complicated, and that can be a turnoff to a lot of people. So I'll try to explain as simple as possible. Now, there are different types of astrology, right? The one that I practice is called Jyotish, which is a Vedic astrology that originated roughly 5,000 years ago in India. From that Vedic astrology, the Western astrology that is practiced in the Western world has been derived. Now, the word Jyotish is translated from Sanskrit as wisdom of heavens or science of light. Oh, I would usually call it enlightenment. Now, and the purpose of astrology is to help individuals to discover their true potential and assist them to be more, consciously aware of their journeys, right? And to realize themselves. Self-knowledge and self-realization is a very predominant thing. Now, each individual has his or her birth chart, which is a snapshot of planetary movements in the sky at the time of his or her birth. So, Elenia, you were born in Italy, at that particular city, at that particular time, at that particular date, right?
Right.
When you are born, when you come, you open your eyes, that's when your birth chart is created. It's basically at that point, standing in your city, you look up in the sky and you see these planets moving in relation to the Earth.
Wow.
And you take a quick snapshot of it, right? And that particular chart is only applicable to you. It is your unique birth code, right? Now, astrology is, I'm glad you're finding it so, and hopefully you understood what I mean.
Of course.
So astrology basically is studies of those planetary placements and influence of those placements to human behavior and just humans in general. So a good astrologer is the one who interprets individual's chart and gives guidelines how to maximize potential and how to implement it, how we can progress, and self-realize, understand ourselves better. Because life is all about solving problems. Life is all about journey, staying present. The more present you are, the more cognizant you are of what is happening around you, so you can better assess the situation and solve the problems. And life is also about relationships with money, religion, beliefs, people, you name it. But how do you understand the relationships with others when you don't know and don't have a relationship with yourself? So the first step is to understand yourself, have a better knowledge with yourself, right? And that is what astrology is.
Wow, you explained it perfectly. Very simple to understand and, really, really good. So thank you so much for explaining it so well. And also because, I've been reading around and also before I met you. So I was really curious about what astrology is and that there are so many different information around, so many different myths. So that you also get confused as, as a human being. So you're curious about things and the quantity of information that there is right now around the web is so huge that we also get confused. But also it's very difficult to trust that this kind of initiative of astrology. So would you like to shed some light on the myths of astrology so that we can get some confused away?
Oh, there's so many out there, but the ones that come to my mind that I encounter a lot, for example, in my own practice, is that just as I said, sometimes it's so generalized, and it's generalized in our Western world. And so, for example, you read in the magazine about your sun sign, certain predictions or forecasts, right? And certain individuals believe into it. And when certain things don't come true, they start losing hope or trust in astrology. And this misconception keeps building up even further. Now, those types of forecasts, they are for the sake of fun. They're extremely limited and very generalized. So if 1% of what has been written comes true, you're lucky. But generally, astrology is a lot more in depth. Think about it. We have 7.5 billion people on this planet. So dividing that population into 12 different zodiac signs is absurd. It's absurd. We are a lot more complex and unique than that. And for that, I always tell individuals, you got to have more open mind, and you need to put aside your preconceived notions and whatever you believed or you're taught by society. And in order to understand, you got to learn. So that's one of the myths. That we are like our sun signs and there are only 12 different personalities. Another one that I encounter, certain people believe that people who practice astrologies are uneducated or coming from a lower classes, people who are decided to skip a traditional educational system and go into astrology. But in my practice, I've encountered people who have PhD degrees or master's degrees, people with incredible analytical minds, people, because astrology encompasses so many different fields. You have to be able to calculate, you have to know mathematics, you got to understand astronomy, you got to understand physics, so many different fields. It needs attention, commitment, dedication, and research capabilities. So uneducated individual wouldn't be able to go through this. So I
Wow.
usually, whoever poses that type of a question, I ask them a question: have you been there? Have you done that? In order to, pose such a question. So, and back in the days in history, now astrology, as I've mentioned, it's been through so many civilizations. Mayans used that, Greek civilizations used it, Egyptians, etc., etc. They all followed the stars, the planetary movements, because we're universe, we're soul, and we are influenced by all of those energies, and the planets are energies. So, and back in time, in history, it was a highly academical field to become an astrologer.
He was right. You're right, actually, now that I remember. Yes. What amazing. It's amazing how things have changed, right?
Things are
So,
changing.
I'd like to the other day we were talking about trust, in our conversation, and something that popped into my mind today was that up to one point, up to what are the boundaries of trust in astrology? Because there are so many people that don't believe, because, as you said, there are so many myths and so many misunderstanding about it. So, what do you think are like? How much we can push, like me as an individual, how much I can push myself to believe into an astrologer and an astrology itself?
A very, very good question. And I think it's kind of builds up on the previous question that you posed about myths, right? So as I mentioned, astrology is a spiritual practice. In order to become an astrologer, you need to be aligned body, mind, and soul. Right? You need to expand your intuitive powers as well. So in the Eastern cultures, astrology is a reputable source of information and enlightenment and guidance. Right? Astrologers serve as counselors over there. Now, in the West, because Western astrology was derived from the Vedic old one, some information got simplified. So gradually, Western population is believing more and more and more. Now, nowadays, we're living in a world of constantly changing technological progress, correct? Where we really need to think hard what is the reputable, reliable information and what is not. And it is up to us as individuals, put aside our personal biases or whatever we've been taught by society, environment, parents, etc., and try to be objective as possible. Use your critical thinking to see what is true and what is not. So one of the things I encourage people who don't know, have open mind. Have open mind and try to be as neutral as possible. And try it out. What do you have to lose? So anybody who goes into session with me, what I usually do, I give them information about their past. I tell them about their personalities, how they act, how they interact with others, what's their relationship type, what is their attitude towards money, how are they doing with finances. So factual information about an individual's past, right, up until to this point. And I see that in the charts. So when I talk about those things, that adds credibility, a layer of credibility.
And trust, I guess.
And trust, exactly, right? So, and after that, I think it's just on a personal level. Some
Totally,
people,
yes.
have this innate incapability of trusting or extremely skeptical,
Yeah,
but
sure.
nowadays in the world, and just have open mind, you know. So
So we have
I
a
don't know if it answers your question.
Yes, you did, of course. But I mean, it's losing trust. Like today, I talk a lot about consumers and employees and business and etc. corporations. And as you know, customers, but human beings in general, we are losing trust in institutions, governments, corporations, and everything. People in general, we trust strangers on social media more than institutions, for example. So, of course, the trust is something that is decreasing a lot. And
Absolutely, you're absolutely right.
yeah, so we have a couple of comments, if you don't mind. So,
Absolutely.
I think you've already answered this question, actually. So Daijin say, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Asema was happy before or after delving into astrology? I think you answered this before, right?
No, happier, definitely. I was happier. Look, even to answer his question, I won a lottery. Being born with certain parents and certain socioeconomical background, so I had right amount of chemicals in my mind to start with. So my journey increased further once I immersed myself into astrology. You know, I hope that answers the question. I'm happier, for sure, happier, and a lot more content and present where I am right now and focusing on my journey.
But not only, I feel you and I hear you very passionate about what you do and what you talk about, you know. So it's so enlightening to see, and you are so radiant when you talk about astrology and when you talk
Oh,
about
thank
this.
you, Darla.
So this is amazing. So well done to you to have, to having had that courage and that braveness to take the leap and took yourself into a new environment. Another question.
Thank you, appreciate it.
No problem. Another question that we have, what is better, astrology or palmistry? Which I don't know what's the second one.
Very good question. And I can't, because I don't specialize in palmistry. I know that they're interconnected, just like numerology is connected with astrology. They're all intertwined, interlinked. Palmistry, if you read your palms, you know, for example, each individual, I think, finger is connected to a certain planet and hence certain energy. I don't wanna, because I don't have enough expertise in palmistry to say whether one is correct or one is better than the other. Now, astrology works personally for me, and my clients believed it worked. It works for them. It sheds definitely a lot more light and understanding about themselves and the path to take. Palmistry, I've heard some people use palms, and they went to incredible experts who specialize in palmistry, who were absolutely correct as well. So whatever works. I don't know. Probably, what is his name? Samir is not probably, hopefully, satisfied somehow by my answer. It depends. I can't with 100% certainty say that one is better than the other, because I might come across as biased since I'm an astrologer. I don't want to say that astrology is way better than palmistry.
Completely understand. I've never had a palmistry session before in my life, but I've had an astrology session with you, and it was amazing. Not just because I'm fascinated about all these things and knowing more about myself, but also the way you deliver it is just great, because you're so passionate about the topic, and I can feel it that you're so good at it. Obviously, as you said, you really built the trust, that trust between you and I during our session, but also because you told me things that I knew before, and also things that I didn't know before that manifested, during these 2 years. So it's been great for me, and honestly, I can't wait to have our next session for 2021. My question to you is, what goes into an astrology session? You as an astrologer, what do you look into? Charts, okay. I don't know anything about it. So I would love to know more. And I believe everybody listening to us would like to know more, please.
Absolutely. So this is how the interaction goes. I don't know an individual. I don't know anything about individual. So the only information I need from an individual is the exact time of birth, date of birth, and the place of birth. And taking that information, I enter into my system, which generates the birth chart or the horoscope, and I can see exactly what the person is going through due to the planetary transits over the natal chart. And given that information, then I start analyzing the chart, start seeing the patterns, start reconfirming using other charts, etc. But long story short, just as I told you at the beginning, I need to establish trust. So I tell the individuals briefly about the past, what they've been through, what's their relationship with their parents, what's their relationship with money, etc., etc., etc. From there, what happens is I start telling them what they're going through currently and what the decision they need to, or more likely to undertake, that would help them to progress even more. So, for example, certain individuals reach out in hopes of understanding where to head in their careers, right? So most of the time they work in the jobs that they don't feel fulfilled, right? Only they're doing the certain jobs because they're told to do. From early age, we're told by our parents, go get a secure job, etc., etc. But our passion is not there. We're just wasting our time, and the time is limited, right? So I help to discover what the individual's passion is. If you're passionate and you help others, right, that's ultimate happiness. And the money is going to come to you afterwards. Money is energy. So then there are individuals who are trying to understand, their relationships, where they're going to meet their significant others, etc. But my sole goal is to really help you understand yourself more. Secondary, I give predictions or forecasts for the upcoming year. Just kind of give them hints. Okay, do this, do that. Try to be more balanced, or be attentive to your relationship with co-workers, because there are some sort of tensions might arise, or etc. And when I see the chart, I can feel what people going through, and I empathize, right? And I try to encourage them to implement some sort of spiritual practice into their daily routines. Meditation is extremely important, because we are what we think, and meditation helps to create some sort of a boundary, or realize that how random our thoughts and what effect that thought has on our actions. Hence, effect on our decision-making process on a daily basis, and the choices that we make. So I encourage my clients to start really taking care of themselves on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and on a physical level, exercising regularly, right? Really giving themselves time and being kind to themselves. We're told that we got to be kind to others, right? But when is the last time we were kind to ourselves?
Oh my God, that's so right.
Yes,
You're
exactly.
so right. Wow, you triggered something really important, and something that I often think I really have to be kinder to myself, because so strict on goals and objectives and achievements and targets and this and that we forget being happy inside, and and be kinder to ourselves.
Absolutely.
So thanks for reminding me this, and thanks for sharing that to everyone. For anyone that is connecting right now, we are live here with Asema Bek, a dearest friend of mine, and we're talking about astrology and what it means for people, and how you can use it in your daily life. So I encourage you to make any comments and ask us any questions. So we'll be happy. Well, actually, Asema, who's the expert today, will be happy to answer all of your questions. I'd like I'd like to, the other day I was thinking that astrology, as you said earlier, has been used for years, for centuries, even like in old days. And I know that corporations and businesses today use astrology as part of their yearly routine, not to predict the future, but to better understand, like, for example, the executives in a company, right? Also in HR departments is used, right?
Yes.
So how do you think astrology can help businesses, but also what, like your clients, who do you work with?
Okay. So as far as I know, from our my colleagues, for example, in astrology, right, in the certain circles in our community, there are business leaders, political leaders, executives from different industries who use astrology to their benefits for decisions such as, okay, when is the right time to enter a certain agreement? When is the right time to sign a contract so it is beneficial and more profitable along that line, right? Or, for example, whether it's worthwhile to enter a certain partnership. So sometimes what they do, they reach out to astrology to assess a certain partnership, a partner, for example.
Right.
And just like you mentioned, HR right now uses some sort of a psychological test assessments to determine personality traits, And in my own practice, in the clients that I usually encounter, they are the young professionals who in their late 20s, in their 30s, who are on the cusp of some sort of a transition where they've pretty much done what you and I have done in the corporate world. They're either immigrants or have two different worlds within them, and they're confused. They're trying to understand where to head next. And usually at that time age, in astrological terms, we have either first or second Saturn return, which happens every 29 to 30 years in individuals' lifetime. And the reason why, because up until then, up until end of 20s, individuals kind of build up what has been told to them. Remember, I told you our parents have tremendous influence on us, the society, the environment, etc., etc. So you are basically running like a chicken without your head, trying to satisfy others, but it's not you who makes all of those choices. So you prepare yourself, in a sense, to fall back in case something doesn't work out in the future. Now, at that age, your soul is kind of maturing, and you start asking those profound, uncomfortable questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What's the point of all of this? Etc., etc. So at that breaking point, individuals reach out to me, trying to understand themselves better, and hence understand their next movements, their next career moves, their next passion moves, or understand better what's going on in their relationships, etc. So those are the individuals that I consult, young professionals who can resonate also with me. And if you think about it, the reason why they reach out to me is because of, I guess, of my background, because I've done that transition myself. So I can share some of my experiences, which will hopefully resonate and shed some sort of light to them as well, So it's similar to one of my, how do I say it, inspirational gurus that I follow, this incredible philosopher, Naval Ravikant. He says, in order to write a great book, you first have to be that book, right? So you have to live through that, accumulate all of the experiences so you can share down the line with others who are behind you. This is pretty much what I'm doing. And Elenia, most importantly, at the end of the session, when you see that light, the happiness from my clients, and I know that in some ways I was able to contribute, to help, that is ultimate happiness. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Because yes, as you said, your mission today is to help others and to be a service to others. So of course, if you see happiness in their eyes, and that's the ultimate
Yeah,
happiness.
exactly.
So, well, Asema, it's been really, really good talking to you. And so if someone would like to get in touch with you, perhaps to get a session with you or just some advice, for example, how they can get in touch with you.
Great question. So, yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is just emailing me, and just letting me know that they know about me through our interaction with Elenia. My email, I think, is indicated on the screen. It's
Yes, it is.
hello@asemgul.com. So, and I'll try my best to respond as soon as possible, given the fact that right now I'm studying, I'm researching, and I'm expanding my knowledge and my footprint. I'm not available on any social medias. I just want to really concentrate on my studies.
And you
But
also
that's the best way.
right?
Yes.
Excellent. So I think we don't have any more questions. I just want to check if we have any comments or questions. No. But if anybody would like to get in touch with Asema for any questions or comments, and not just for sessions, you can do by contacting hello@asemgul.com. Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. And thank you so much, Asema, for explaining us what astrology is and for giving us a lot of positivity with your passion in astrology. Thank you so much.
Elenia, it was a tremendous pleasure to be here and conversing with you and sharing what I know. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward for our next session.
Oh, yes, I
hopefully
do.
down the line when I have a lot more experience.
I do as well. Okay. Thank you, guys, and have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.